Hello, good morning to all of you, my dear listeners. I am Dr. B.S.Mishra. Today I am presenting strategic human resource management. You know about the strategic human resource management. Economic levelization and globalization seeks the competitive advantage, which has led to the emergence of a new discipline known as the strategy. These things are composed by the human resource management, so this one is known as strategic human resource management. Strategically, whenever we introduce by the meaning, a strategy is a pattern, a set of plan which integrate an organization's major policies according to the organizational goal and action under the pre-decided sequence for the taking different types decision, linear of decision. It is not a simple one strategy have a number of implication in it. It can be say as number one, a plan is already prepared by the system. Direction, course of action means idea, direction, guide, course of action. Number second, a perspective on an organization's fundamental way of doing things. Fundamental way of doing things. Next, a pattern that provide a consistent behavior over time, continuation over time. A play or a specific maneuver intended to the defeat a competitors. So, on the behalf of the evaluatory phase, a strategy taken by the military term, it was the Peter Drucker, according to the Peter Drucker, who point out the importance of a strategic decision in 1955 under his book The Practice of Management, a practice of management written by Peter Drucker, and he defined and the different compositions whatever required in the decision making process of the according to the business objectives. However, the importance of the concept of fully realized to the prisoners of Alfred Chancellor and the Michel Porters have developed the work strategy, which is regarded as a classical approach. Classical approach. So, we develop these things. How many patterns is, just 1 minute, I am starting to the different types. Before the types, we emphasize the human quantitative aspect is of a strategy, means the strategy as a evolutionary. It so that organizational behavior as a part of organizational process are developed in the concept of a resource based strategy. More ever recently, academic have stressed both the implementation as well as planning aspect of the policies, planning aspect of the organizational policies. So, according to the types, you learn the three types: linear strategy, number one; adaptive strategy, number two; or interpretative strategy. The first of all, we discuss about the linear strategy. Under the this process of the linear strategy, researchers use strategy. It focus on planning and forecasting of likely events, and end our desire is the organizational goal, which is achieved through a well network matrix of the strategy. Means focus, planning, forecasting, events, composing of the events, establish a structure, means networks, matrix under the statistical form. So, Number two, adoptive strategy. Second one is the model described as the adoptive strategy model, which is closely associated with the strategic management. It is focused on means rather than end and concerned with the achieving fit of the strategy, which respect to the internal and external factors. Internal factors and external factors of strategy. Both are effective. Strategy with respect in the internal and external. Each and every organization has devised strategical to adjust the changing variables. We carefully adopt the changing variables of the organization. It also adopts the strategy for the organizational efficiency or effectiveness of the organization. Conclusively, it focuses on result of strategic human resource management and the role of achievement by the fit strategical pattern with the internal and with the presence of internal and external situation change be in presence of the changing variables of the organization. Now third one is the under the and third is interpretative strategy. Under this mode, which is a made of a strategy less strategy as a metaphor, so it is not a measured but perceived in a qualitative term. It is the visible tips of the iceberg as it represent the underplanning theme of organizational philosophy. So there are three types of: number one linear, number two adoptive, number three interpretative strategy. Now formulating strategy. Formulating strategy. What is the formulating strategy? I will be discuss in different model by the different model. What about the formulate by the things? The formulative strategy requires different things for effective development, effective progress, and the implementation of a strategy in the organizational system. And there are some things. Number one, competitive advantage. What is the competitive advantage? Philosophy of the organization. As per the institutional view, theory of strategy, competitive advantage play an important role. It arises when a firm creates unique value, creates own unique value for its customers, for its focus area. Here the firm selects a suitable marketplace area of place in which it can present a moving target in front of its competitors to improve its own position. Number two, strategic intents. Its strategic intents refers to the leadership position of the organization. An organization intends to achieve it through the articulation of motives and establish a clear criticism and the objectives by the progress into the world it achievements has to be measured. Next one is strategic fit. What about the strategic concept of the strategic fit means fit for the competitive advantage. In order to maximize competitive advantage, a firm must match its resources in the external and or internal environment, either external environment or internal environment. Next one is a strategic capability. Strategic capability refers to the ability of an organization to develop and implement strategies that help to achieve competitive advantage, so known as the strategic capabilities. Capabilities refers to the ability of the organization. Next one is the strategic management, means managerial decisions. Mean strategic management is the managerial decision that establish organizational functioning, guide internal activities, and determines the path of organizational performance. Strategic management is a continuous process. You know about the this one is the continuous process consisting of a sequence of activity starting from the strategy formulation. Number one, strategy formulation, then strategic planning, after that implementation and the review. There are the four figure: formulation, planning, and the implementation after of the reviews. The objective of strategic management is to make managers look ahead and the plan accordingly to strategic system. Management brings anticipating change in the environments. And the resource based strategy, resource based means availability. What's about the availability? Means the capability of a firm according to the resource capability of a firm. Resources are especially distinctive resource which are fit for the competitive advantage. We know you know that the Verne, they describe the system of the strategic resource based criteria. There are four criteria deciding whether a resource is distinctive resource or not. Distinctive resource or not. Number one, resource must be value creation for the customer. Must be value creation, having the capacity of the value creations. It should be non-imitable. Next, its presence should be difference retaining compared to the competitors. Next, fourth, it should be not be substituted. It should not be substituted. So there are these things. Number one, competitive advantage. Number two, strategic intent. Number three, strategic fit. Number three, strategic capabilities, strategic management, and resource based strategy. Now Mitzberg, and a philosopher who have the some declares some point with the research uh, on the behalf of the strategic formulations. They have the with the school of strategy by the name of the school of the Mitzberg strategic model, by the name of the Mitzberg School of Strategic Research. Mitzberg School's strategic research describe number one, design of a school. Number one, the design of a school. Under this process, design of a strategy is perceived as a process of conception through a choice of alternatives. Choice of alternatives. All contractual and contingent factors are taken into the account in arriving at choice. Designing of a school. Second one is the learning of a school. Under the learning of a school, believes that a strategy is conceived as an evolving concept, as it growing and developing through the impact of internal and external forces, including the factors. Including the factors means beliefs, degree of trust involving, and concept giving the external and in presence of the external and internal forces and factors whatsoever applicable in the present scenario with the situational based description. So the power of a school. Last third one is the power of a school. Power of a school refers to the opinion that strategy as a process of negotiation. Opinion that the strategy as a process of negotiation which is created in an least common denominator LCM, least common denominators, through the interplay of the forces relevant forces and the factors. Fourth one is the planning school. Fourth one is the planning school. Planning schools decide the view of a strategy under the constructed form, means formal process of the strategy, formal process of the plan construct by the parties, by the competent person with the competent manner. Next one is the environmental school. Environmental school refers to the relative products outside. Relative products here, environments is the independent variables and strategy is and the dependent variables. We differentiate the dependent and independent variables. Next one is the positioning school. Positioning school refers to the views of a strategy, which is the perceived and as an analytical process, by the analytical process in forming strategy, contingencies of situation in the taking into account. Three things there is: positioning of the views of a strategy perceived by the analytical process, and forming strategy contingency situation whatsoever applicable. Next one is cognitive school. It believes that strategy is a mental process. It is conceived that the success is depend on the level or quality of cognition of the individual strategy. Cognition of the individual strategy. So cognitive school. Next one is the configuration school. Under the process of the configuration school, strategy is perceived as a process of transformation form. Under this stage, transformation strategy refers to the transformation form, the actual to the desired state of affairs. It is a reference to the organizational architectures or organizational design involving by the segment. The configuration refers to the things. Next one, the entrepreneurial school. Entrepreneurial school looks upon strategy as a visionary process, creation of mind. This one is the creation of mind. It is a perception of future creations. And the 10th, last, cultural school. Cultural schools refers to the opinion of the culture of strategy is perceived as a influence of organizational culture. It is made of a functioning and enterprises determine what kind of strategy is adopted in the organization, under which circumstances, and the strategy is the depend of variables. Strategy is the depend of the variables. Now guest model, one another model which is the known as the guest model. A guest model is strategic human resource management, also having this some importance variables, importance cadres. According to guest, there are four basic elements goal of strategic human resource management. Number one, strategic integrations, commitment, flexibility and qualities. फोर है इंटीग्रेशन, commitment, flexibility and the quality. The model of strategies has been discussed in the system. Number one, the performance working model. high performance working model and low performance working model situation at the quality products, both things are analyzed. Under this process, the basic characteristics of establishment under the autonomic work condition, work group, individual group, for the better human relation training whatsoever needed, and maximize their efficiency, individual, team, group, and organizational. It believe in high level of participation, high performance working, high needs to the high level of participation among the peoples, and good amicable behavior among the employees and among the participants. It promotes and develop a system for better performance, better quality performance, and quality of work life, which is provide high degree of rewards. It is based on formal system for the information sharing provision, and second one is the high commitment management model. Under this model, it deals with the management and the relation among the participants of the organization, which are based on high level of trust, better development, concrete leadership style, better training, and minimization of absenteeism, and good administrative system, which assessment is by the payment system. And so basic wages and plus achievement of high commitments, both things are reward. And third one, the high involvement management model. Under the high involvement management model is the more democratic approach. Under this process, this model, it focus on communication and participation between the employees, administration, and the other participants under the formal system, and establish full mutual understanding by the both, means the union and management. So thanks to all of you. This one is the a short uh, YouTube material which is completed by me. Thanks to all of you. Kindly subscribe, press the bell icon for the latest video, and if any requirement, then comments. If you want to join, and then call us, message us. So thanks to all of you.